2 Shemuel chapter 15. Wayahi me'achareken, and it was after this. Wayashalo Abshalom Merkava Ususim. Abshalom also effectuated for himself a chariot and horses. Wachamishim ish Rashim Lepanau, and 50 men running before him. Wehishakim Abshalom, and Abshalom would shoulder up. Wa'amad alayad derka hathar, and he would stand upon the hand of the way, that is, on the side of the way, of the gate. Wayahi kol haish atar yehye lo rib lavo el hamelech lamithpat, and it was every man which there was for him a contention to come to the king for the judgment. Wayikra Abshalom Elai, Abshalom would also call to him. Wayomer emid hata, and he would say, where from that city thou art. Wayomer, and he would say, Me'ahad shivat Yisrael abdaka, from one of the tribes of Yisrael thy servant is. Wayomer Elai Abshalom, and Abshalom would say to him, Re devarka tovim unkohim, see, thy words good and right. Washomer enelaka met hamelech, but a hearer there is not for thee from the king. Wayomer Abshalom, and Abshalom would say, Mi yeshimeni shofet baresh, who would set me as a judge in the land? Wa'alai yavo kol ish atar yehye lo rib u'mithapat u'hithdakatiu, and upon me every man would come, which there is for him a contention and a judgment, and I would make him right. Wahaya biqaravish lehishtahawot the law, and it was in a man's approaching to bow down as to worship to him. Washalah et yado wehezik lo wanashak lo, then he would send his hand, and he would grab in him, and he would kiss him. Wayash Abshalom kadavar hadeh lekol Yisrael atar yavohu lamithpat el hamelech, and Abshalom effectuated like this thing to all Yisrael when they came for the judgment to the king. Wayaganeb Abshalom et leb anashe Yisrael, and Abshalom stole away the heart of the men of Yisrael. Wayahi Mikesh Arba'im Shana, and it was from the end of 40 years. Wayomer Abshalom el hamelech, and Abshalom said to the king, Elkanah, I would go now, Wahashalem et nidri atra nadarti leyahweh behebron, and I would repay my vow, which I vowed to Yahweh in Hebron. Ki nether nadar avdaka bethivati bigashur baram lemor. Because a vow thy servant vowed in my dwelling in Geshur in Aram, saying, Imiatho b'yethiveni Yahweh Yerushalem wa'avadati et Yahweh. If returningly Yahweh should return me to Yerushalem, also I shall serve Yahweh. Vayomer lo hamelech lech b'shalom. And the king said to him, Go thou in peace. Vayakom vayelech Hebronah. And he arose, and he went to Hebron. Vayishlach Abshalom meraglim b'kol shivatei Yisrael le'emor. And Abshalom sent footmen or scouts in all the tribes of Yisrael, saying, Kishoma akem et kol hashofar wahamaratem malaka Abshalom behebron. As you're hearing the voice of the shofar, the sounding horn, also ye shall say, Abshalom hath become king in Hebron. With Abshalom halaku mahatayim hish mirushalem qruhim v'holachim l'tumam v'lo yada'u kol davar. And with Abshalom 200 men from Yerushalem, invited ones, came and were coming for their simplicity or innocence, and they knew not any word. Vayishlach Abshalom et Achitophel Hagiloni yo'et David me'ero Migilo b'dobho et Hadvahim. And Abshalom sent Achitophel the Giloni, the counselor of David, from his city from Gilo, in his sacrificing the sacrifices. Wayahi hakashar amith. And the conspiracy was strong. Waha'am holek warav et Abshalom. And the people was going and was abounding with Abshalom. Vayavo Hamagid el David le'emor. And the one narrating came to David, saying, Haya lebeish Yisrael acharei Abshalom. The heart of the man of Yisrael is become after Abshalom. Vayomer David l'kol avadau atarito b'Yerushalem. And David said to all his servants which were with him in Yerushalem, Qumu v'nivaraha, arise ye, and we would flee. Ki lo tihye lanu peleta mipne Abshalom, because there shall not be for us an escapee from before the faces of Abshalom. Maharu la leket penayamaher והשיגנו והדיח עלינו את הרעה והיכה העיר לפי חרב. Hurry ye to go, lest he hurry, and he overtake us, and he thrust upon us the evil, and he smite the city to the mouth of the sword. وَيُؤْمَرُ عَبْدِ هَمَّلَكَ إِلَى هَمَّلَكَ. And the servants of the king said to the king, كَقُولَ أَطْرِيَ بَحَرَ أَدُونِي هَمَّلَكَ إِنَّ عَبَادَكَ. Like all which my lord the king should choose, behold thy servants. وَيَشْهَمَّلَكَ وَكُلَّ بَيْتُ بِرَجْلَيْهِ. And the king went out, and all his house at his feet. وَيَعْزُبْ هَمَّلَكَ את אשר נתים פילגשים לשמור הבית. And the king forsook 10 women, concubines, to keep the house. וישב המלך וכל העם ברגליו, ויעמדו בית המרחק. And the king went out, and all the people at his feet, and they stood at Beit Hamerhak. וכל עבדי ועוברים על ידו, וכל הכרתי, וכל הפלתי. And all his servants, ones passing on over his hand, and all the Kareti, and all the Peleti, وكل Haggitim, Shetmehot Ish, and all the Getim, 600 men, Atrabahu Baragalo Miget, which had come by his foot from Get. Ovarim alpene hammelech, ones passing on over the faces of the king. Vayomer hammelech elehittai haggati. And the king said to Hittai the Geti, Lamahtelech gamahata itanu. For what art thou going also thou with us? Thubawatheb imhamelech, return thou and dwell thou with the king. Ki nokori hata, because thou art a foreigner. Ugamagole hata limko merka, and also one being in exile, thou to thy place. Tomorrow boka, yesterday was thy coming. Wahayom ani aka imanu laleket, and today would I make thee to wander with us to go? Wahani holek al atra hani holek, and I am one going upon where I am going. Thubawatheb et acheka imak hesed wehemet. Return thou and cause thou thy brothers to return with thee. Loving kindness and truth. Wayarna Hittai et Hamelech. And Hittai responded to the king. Wayomar, and he said, Hayah Adoni Hamelech, Ki him b'mekom atar yihye tham Adoni Hamelech, im l'mawat, im l'hayim, Ki tham yihya abdaka, as Yahweh liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, except in the place which my lord the king should be there, if for death, if for life, that there thy servant shall be. Wayomer David el Hittai leka wa'avor, and David said to Hittai, Go thou, and pass thou on. Wa'avor Hittai Haggati, ukol hanashai, ukol hataf, atar Hitto, and Hittai the Geti passed on, and all his men, and all the little ones which were with him. Ukol ha'arsh pokim kol gadol, ukol ha'am overim, and all the land was weeping, a great voice, a big voice, and all the people were ones passing over. Wahamelech over benahalant Qidron, and the king was one passing over by the brook Qidron. Ukol ha'am overim alpene derek et hamidbar, and all the people was ones passing on over the faces of the way to the wilderness. V'hinne gam Tzadok u'kol ha'leviim hito, and behold also Tzadok and all the Leviim with him, nosheim et Aharon berit ha'Elohim, ones bearing the ark of the covenant of the God. Vayathiku et Aharon ha'Elohim, Vayal Eviatar. Also they set down the ark of the God, and Abiathar went up, Ad tom kol ha'am la'avor min ha'er, until the finishing of all the people to pass on from the city. Vayomer ha'melech l'Tzadok, and the king said to Tzadok, Ha'theb et Haron ha'Elohim ha'er, return thou the ark of the God to the city. Imhem tahen be'enei Yahweh, if I should find favor in the eyes of God, U'hethivani v'hirani hoto v'etnawehu, also he shall cause me to return, and he shall show me it and its abode. V'him ko yomar lo hafatati vach, and if thus he should say, I have not pleasure in thee. Hinnani ya'asheli katar tov be'enau, behold me, let him effectuate to me like what is good in his eyes. Vayomer ha'melech el Tzadok ha'kohen, and the king said to Tzadok the priest, Haroeh hata, is it that a seer thou art? Thuva ha'er b'shalom, return thou to the city in peace. Wahi ma'at binaka v'yehonatan ben Abiatar thene benechem ittechem, and Ahimaaz thy son, and Jehonatan the son of Abiatar, the two of your sons, are with you. Rahu Anochi mitmahameh be'aravot hamidbar. See ye, I am one waiting about in the fords of the wilderness. Ad bo davar me'imachem lahagid li, until the coming of a word from with you to tell to me. ויתר בצדוק ואביתר את אהרון האלוהים ירושלם ויתבותם. And Zadok returned the ark of the God to Jerusalem, as did Abiathar, and they dwelt there. ודוד עולה במעלה הזיתים, עולה ובוקע, וראש לו חפוי, והוא הולך יחף. And David was one going up in the ascent of the olives, one going up and one weeping, and his head covered, and he was one going up, and he was barefoot. וכל העם אתרהיתו חפו איש ראשו ועלו עלו ובכו. And all the people which was with him covered each man his head, and they went up, going up and weeping. ודוד הגיד לאמור, and David told, saying, אחיתופל בכושרים עם אבשלום. Achitophel is among those conspiring with Absalom. ויאמר David, and David said, סקל נא את עצת אחיתופל, Yahweh, O Yahweh, make thou the counsel of Achitophel foolish. ויהיה דוד בא עד הראש, אתר ישתחוותם לאלוהים. And David was come upon the head, or the mountain top, which, or where, he bowed himself there to worship to the God. והנה לקראתו, and behold, for to meet him, Hushai Haraki, was Hushai the Araki. Qaru' kutonato, one torn of his tunic. Wahadama al rosho, and earth upon his head. Wayomer lo David, and David said to him, Im avarta hitti wahayita alai lemashah. If thou shouldst pass on with me, thou wouldst be upon me for a burden to carry. Vim ha'er tathub, but if to the city thou shouldst return, Wahamarta Absalom, and thou shouldst say to Absalom, Avdaka hani hamelech, thy servant am I, O king. Ehye, I shall be. Evdaha bika wahani me'az, wa'ata wahani abdaka. A servant of thy father, and I from then, and now also I am thy servant. Vehefarta li et athat Achitophel, and thou shouldst frustrate for me the counsel of Achitophel. Wahalo imkatam, and is it not that there is with thee Zadok Wahaviathar HaKohanim, Tzadok, and Abiathar the priests. Wahaya kol hadavar atar tishma mibet hamelech tagid l'Tzadok ul'Abiathar HaKohanim. And it shall be, every word which thou shalt hear from the house of the king, thou shalt tell to Tzadok and to Abiathar the priests. Hinne tham imam thene v'nehem achi ma'ath l'Tzadok v'Yehonatan l'Abiathar. Behold, there is with them the two of their sons, Ahimath for Tzadok, and Yehonatan for Abiathar. Ushelachtem biyadam Eli, and ye shall send by their hand to me, Kol davar atar tishma'u, every word which ye shall hear. Vayavo Hoshai re'eh David ha'ir, and Hoshai, the friend of David, came to the city. V'Abshalom yavo Yerushalem, and Abshalom came to Jerusalem.